Manx Radio's 1 to 3, tended by Ramsey Garden Centre. Open 7 days a week.
What I'm very proud of myself having done recently is learn the phonetic alphabet.
Aha.
But I'm not going to quote it.
Thank you both for joining me. Yvette and Rosemary were finding out about Ride and Stride. Rosemary, just explain it for those that don't know what this is.
Well, it's a treasure hunt that goes around the island, and you can use any form of transport, whether it's walking on your ordinary push bike or a motorbike. One year we even had somebody on her mobility scooter. Or if you want to go as a group of friends in a car, go around the island exploring, then you can do that too.
And what are you looking for with this treasure hunt?
Well, at something like 60 churches around the island, there are little symbols. They're A6 in size, so that's about a quarter of the normal size of paper that we use. And they've got Ride and Stride for churches at the bottom, and then a symbol. I've brought one with me, which is a bone, just like a dog's bone, but there are all kinds of other things from different shapes to umbrellas. There's somebody in a wheelchair, a whole range of different things. So the idea is that you go around and find these and either copy them or describe what it is that you're seeing and put it on our entry form. And then you have the chance of being the winner and getting a £100 voucher from the Steam Packet Company.
Fantastic. And it's also about raising money, isn't it? Raising funds.
It is. I think many people on the island appreciate the local churches in their community for their architecture, if nothing else. And very often people will pop in perhaps for a special service like Christmas or Easter, or sadly if there's a burial, or more happily if there's a wedding or a christening. So I think people do value their buildings, but they don't really appreciate that to fund them, there is no outside funding other than from what the congregation give or from what they manage to raise by different ways. So the idea of this is that it's a fun way to engage in something that takes you around the island, takes you to places you might not have been before, and it raises money in two ways. One is you pay a £5 for the entry form, and then secondly, if you can find some sponsors to sponsor you, then that money goes to the church that you want it to. So it's not all coming to, say, the cathedral where I'm based. If you're out at one of the smaller churches or living in one of the villages, you can give it to them. We encourage that.
Well, someone who has embraced this very much is Yvette Sale. Yvette, thank you for being with us this morning. When did you first get involved with Ride and Stride?
I got involved last year.
And why did you want to do it?
I bumped into Rosemary in Peel and she was just starting distributing the leaflets. And she explained it and I said, oh, I do a lot of walking. That sounds just like my thing. And I took the leaflet then and there. And last year I got permission from our church council to look for sponsorship and went ahead.
And which church is this?
Trinity Methodist in Douglas.
So how did you do last year?
Extremely well. I'm doing it again this year, and with money biting, I know I won't get the 600 plus that I did last year.
That is a fantastic achievement. And you've obviously really sort of thrown yourself into this now, haven't you? What is it you enjoy most about it?
I love walking. I love exploring. I like planning out the little loops that I can do to visit several churches at the same time. And also I do a little map in church where I ask members of the congregation and the children to put little pin flags to the locations of the churches that I've visited. So it's spread beyond just the walking.
So it's connecting with people as well, which is lovely.
Oh, yes. And of course you meet people as you're wandering the countryside, as you're popping into churches and so on.
And you get to tell them, I assume, what you've been doing.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah. So what are some of the interesting things you've discovered as you've been going around?
I think it's just enjoying the Isle of Man. I have to say, on my birthday, I deliberately chose to go to Niarbyl and then to St James Dalby because that's such a delight. And then I went through Glenmay, Patrick and into Peel. So that was a lovely, lovely particular one.
I mean, our island is a fabulous place to walk
It is.
around,
Maccled
isn't it?
is another, and the walk out, of course, to St Luke's, which is quite an enterprise there and back. It's, as I say, it's joy, and we're visiting some of the thin places in the Isle of Man where you just feel closer to creation.
What a beautiful way of putting it. Have you got any idea how many miles you might have done?
None whatsoever.
I mean, it's got to be a fair few. But Rosemary, if you're not necessarily someone who can walk quite as much as Yvette's been able to do, you can do it in other ways, like you said, can't you?
You certainly can. You could take a bus. You could get a group of friends to go in a car. You could go on your push bike. You could hitch a lift on a motorbike. And one year we had somebody on a mobility scooter. So really, anything goes. Might even be a horse, I suppose.
I love the idea of hitching a ride on a motorbike. That's fantastic. And there's still time for people to take part this year, isn't there?
That's right. The entries need to be in at the end of the month, but the symbols will come down at the end of the 8th of September. So there's last little push on the school holidays, weekends, and just a lovely opportunity to get out and see more, and to think actually you are supporting your local community in the building of the church.
And a great thing for kids because the treasure hunt element of it would be really good fun for kids.
Well, we hope so, yes.
Well, where do we go then to get our forms?
Well, the Welcome Centre at the Sea Terminal has them, and many of the churches around the island have them, including the cathedral. If in doubt, I guess you could email rideandstride@gmail.com and I'll be able to help.
Lovely. And it means you're part of something bigger as well, aren't you? Because I believe it's something that actually goes on across the British Isles, this as well, isn't it?
It started in the UK more than 40 years ago, and they've managed to raise millions of pounds over the years. It's a slower growing thing here. I mean, I'd love it to become something like the parish walk that people would just look forward to each year and know where they could get the entry forms for and just really enjoy going and seeing things, and maybe, like Yvette said, trying to work out different ways, different patterns to go and meet the different churches.
It's such a lovely idea. Yvette, are you going to make this an annual occurrence, do you think?
As long as God lets me, yes.